Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Golden Moments. I'm Bruce Howard. As most TU football fans know, in the mid-'60s, the University of Tulsa had just an unbelievable passing attack led by legendary head coach Glenn Dobbs. Now, during that time, TU set almost every important passing record in the NCAA. But as the college passing game evolved, most of those records were broken. But there are still a couple that are still there, and they were set by TU players. Most notably, Howard Twilley in 1965 averaged 13.4 catches per game. That is still the NCAA record. Another one, and perhaps a little less known, is Tulsa had two receivers over 300 yards receiving in one game, a game in 1967. And the two receivers from wide receiver U were probably not that well known to most TU football fans. It was Harry Wood and Rick Eber. Well, here's a story about how TU set that record that still stands on that one September night some 55 years ago. That is the subject of this Golden Moment.
In the 1960s, the college football passing game was largely an afterthought, except for Coach Glenn Dobbs' revolutionary aerial attack at the University of Tulsa. The Golden Hurricane set almost every passing record in the 60s. But in 1967, they set a record that has yet to be broken. Against Idaho State 55 years ago, Tulsa had two receivers, Harry Wood and Rick Eber, each go over 300 yards in that game. The previous week, Tulsa had upset favorite Arkansas behind the running of Gary McDermott, and it appeared the Bengals were looking for another run-heavy game.
They weren't prepared for somebody who's going to come out and pass the ball every play after running the ball every play against Arkansas. They just were not prepared.
We were coming off a pretty good high after beating Arkansas 14-12, and everything, we were healthy. It was a first night game at Tulsa, which usually brought out a good crowd, which we had.
So the Golden Hurricane passing game flourished, throwing the ball 62 times. It was a receiver's paradise.
It was fun, is what wide receivers would think of. Throw the ball all the time, playing zone, teams playing zone, plenty of protection, and you're playing catch.
The thing that was most obvious to me from my position was the fact that two wide receivers, Harry Wood and Rick Eber, were open all night long, and they were catching one pass after another.
We just sat there and watched, and there was a little bit of substitution on defense, but Coach gave the people a show, and he saw them as an audience, and he had something to sell, and it was his passing game.
Even though Tulsa used four quarterbacks, they threw primarily to two wideouts, Rick Eber and Harry Wood. Overall, Tulsa threw for 698 yards and had 798 yards of total offense, both NCAA records. Those have since been broken, but the record that still stands is Eber with 322 yards and Wood with 318 yards receiving.
Pretty awesome demonstration of throwing the ball. The thing about throwing it's one thing, but you got to have people to catch the doggone thing too.
But credit should also go to the four quarterbacks who slung it all over the field. Glenn Dobbs, Greg Barton, Mike Stripling, and Gary Collette. 8 touchdown passes total, and they ran the offense flawlessly.
We were scoring so much, but we controlled the ball. When the defense came out, we're on the sideline, and wherever the ball was, it was just slow and steady progress.
Late in the game, Eber had tied Howard Twilley's all-time NCAA record of 19 pass receptions in a game, and he needed one more catch to set a new record.
Glenn Dobbs called me over. I thought I was in trouble or something. Eber, come here. And he said, I want you to go in and catch a pass. You need one more to set a record.
He was one catch from breaking the national record. So that really got some goosebumps in my body.
I went in and I ran a slant play. It hit me in the chest and flared off, and I didn't even come close to catching it.
He throws a pass, he being Glenn, and he drops, and Rick dropped the ball. I mean, you talk about shock. I mean.
So I came back to the huddle and he goes, catch the damn ball. Want to get out of here. I go, I tried, okay?
That sounds like Glenn's, that's just his humor. You know, he was just, that doesn't surprise me one bit.
So then he ran the very same play, and I caught it for like 10 yards, 20th pass, and then it was over.
So Eber got the record, and he and Harry Wood are still in the NCAA record book today for something they did more than 5 decades ago.